I hope you guys got the balls to sit through the review. If you two can't handle that joke, well, that's their fault. Anyways, how's it going, guys? It is Plastic Disasta doing a 2-in-1 review. And today, we are going to look at the Haropla kits. So in case you don't know what the Haropla line is, it's basically very small model kits, cheap, very easy to put together, and basically for desk decorations. And here is one as an example. This one right here would be the very basic one, and to give a little backstory of what Haro is, it's basically the mascot of the Gundam franchise. However, these two are a little more special. One has cat ears, I know there are some people who are into it, and the other is based off of the mobile suit called the Ball for the 1979 Gundam series. And I know there are other special Haros out there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna pick them up or not, but let's get right into the review. So taking a look at the box, I'm gonna go with the Haro Ball first. So taking a look at the box art for the Haropla Ball, it looks like they're about to go in war in space. Taking a look at this side of the box, it says there are no tools required for assembly. I don't recommend doing that. It shows it has articulation on the arms, and it shows like the inner frame right here, and you can display it with the other Haros. Taking a look at the other side of the box, there's nothing special, but it does say this does cost 600 yen, which is around probably $7 or $8. Now finally we are looking at Momo Haro, and the box art is just her looking at you. Now, this type of Haro did appear in the anime called Gundam Build Divers Rise, which only appeared like in a few moments, which is a way for Bandai to cash in on that. Taking a look at this side of the box, we already saw a similar no tools required assembly, the inner frame, and it shows the life size of the Haropla, which kind of reminds me how Lego boxes would do like a life size of like a minifigure. And it shows that it's articulated ears, displaying with the other Haros, and Momo herself. Inside the box, we are going to be greeted with one bag of runner and a manual for the Momo Haropla, while the Haropla Ball has 2 bags of runners and a manual. So both of these manuals show off how to build the base body of these Haroplas, while the back of the manual shows how to put the limbs together. So here is these 2 kits, both having runner A1, both multicolored. It's gonna have the base parts, the limb parts, the parts for the inner frame, and the flat parts. Now, however, Momo Haropla doesn't have these flat parts right over here. That's because those big flat parts, if you want to call it that, are going to be exclusive to the Momo Haro because of the cat ears. Okay, and here is runner A2, and these are going to be the parts for the Haro face, the back of the Haro, the inner frame. And here is what I mean about these parts are for the cat ears for the Momo Haro. And here is runner B1 and 2 exclusively for the Haropla Ball, and B2 are going to be the parts for the arms, while B1 is going to be the part for the gun on top of his head. And last but not least, the polycaps. Okay, that about wraps up the unboxing. So you already know I've built the regular Haropla, and I'm really excited to put together the special ones. So stay tuned after the build, and I'll see you guys right after. And here is the Haropla snapped together, and the build experience was actually quite fun. Very short and very little parts. And if you see what I did, yes, I did connect the base together, but if you want to, you can connect them either sideways or front to back. And if you also collect one of those petite guys, either like the character ones or the little bears, you can connect them with the Haro as well. Another display option you can do, and let me get the Haro Ball out of the way. So you can take this out, take the stand out, put it right behind here, or it should be the other way. Take this little tab, put it underneath the Haro, and you can set it down like that. However, the Haro Ball, it's meant to stay on the stand. I mean, you can display it like this, but I don't think it was mentioned in the instruction manual. Okay, so moving on to accessories, starting off with the Momo Haro, you get these limbs. The long ones are for the arms and the hand, while the shorter ones are for the legs. Now for the Haropla Ball, you do have all the accessories to make the regular Haro. And let's not forget these 2 little tabs that also go with the Haro Ball. Usually in the Gundam technology, the limbs are retractable, but in real life, in model kit form, I'm not sure if they're gonna make it yet. And to attach the limbs, I'm gonna use the Momo Haro as an example. To attach the arms, flip this out and stick the ball joint in there. Now be careful, on my copy, the hand easily pops off on the ball joint, so I'm not sure it's gonna happen to anyone else, and I just noticed that I put it on the wrong side. That's better. And to attach the legs, pull this flap out, got the smaller one, put it in here, and attach the foot like so, and you're gonna do the same for the other side. And here is what the Momo Haro looks like with all of its limbs, and if you want to attach it on the base, you're gonna need the stand. And for the Haro ball right over there, it doesn't say anything about putting the limbs together in the instruction manuals, but at least you do get the parts to make it. Alright, so let's move on to articulation. Starting off with the Momo Haro, the ears can rotate and can move down and up, and you already saw the flap can move up and down. Ball joint on the arm and ball joint on the wrist, ball joints on the hips, and ball joint on the feet. And in case if you don't want to use the limbs, you can always store them in the bottom of the base, which is actually pretty handy, so thanks Bandai. And if you want to hide them, basically the long limbs, you just attach them to these corners right there, while the short ones, you just attach it right over there. And as for the Haro ball, the cannon can rotate and move down and up, and this is on a ball joint, but it's like kind of limited right now, and the arm can move up and down. And speaking of the arms, yeah, it does look cool, but what I don't like is the hollowness right over there. But if you can find a way to fill that in, that's great, because all it takes is just applying putty and sand it down, and yes, you are going to paint it as well. Another thing I want to point out what's wrong with the Haropla ball is that there's a seam line going on across the cannon. I don't get why they do that. I wish they could have done like one simple piece and I don't have to deal with the seam line. And you also have to attach like this ball joint like right in there. I guess it's just to fill up the barrel of the cannon. For size comparisons, here he is right next to the standard size high grade 1/44th Gundam. And here they are right next to the cross silhouette ground Gundam and the petite guys. And finally, here they are with the NECA Godzilla and the Furai model Optimus Prime. Okay, so on to my final thoughts. Overall, the line is actually pretty good. If you like something small and simple and easy on the wallet, it's perfect for you. Get maybe one, two, or maybe all of them. And if you were to ask me which one's my favorite, well, I still prefer the original Green Haro. But that's just my opinion. But if you like these two better, I say go for it. Okay guys, and that about wraps up the review. And I know it's a short one because Haroplas are a small model kit. Not a lot to talk about, like how I mentioned on my other small things I reviewed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to subscribe to see more. And if you already have these kind of kits, leave a comment down below and tell me your experience, and also leave a like as well, and I'll see you guys on the next video.
It's a great kit, highly recommended, great articulation, great build quality.
I gotta say TFG, it's a pretty nice video you got out there. I hope they subscribe to you, but I'm gonna do you one better.